Brews and Banner Podcast. What up? Welcome to Brews and Banner Podcast. I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, is the legendary Brew Crew. What up, fellas?
I got water, I got, juice or whatever. It's like, y'all need twin legs? Matter of fact, I do.
My question to everybody is, does Delaware have an actual culture? This is the podcast that we talk about beer, but we also talk about a lot of things that's happening in the world. Politics, movies, anything really that comes to our mind while we're here sampling these brews. Grab a drink and pull up a chair.
Is that record?
Since it just the time when it kicks down, thinking never plan to get quick bands, falling in deep with the quicksand. Flag I'm at, no quick brand.
I feel like we should have got 33 seconds of that one. I like that song.
Yeah.
What up? Welcome to Bruising Banter Podcast, where the topic is the rockin' and the brew. Will that be the fuel? And I'm your host, Rob G. And with me, as always, the legendary Brew Crew. What's going on, fellas?
Man, it's easy like the Sunday morning. What's up?
What is going on, everyone?
It is a Sunday afternoon.
Ha!
Y'all silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is episode 120 of Bruising Banter Podcast, and today we have another special guest with us.
We keep them coming, guys, don't we? We keep them coming for our viewers and our listeners. We keep them coming.
Be booked,
baby. No problems over here.
Okay.
Yoda, what's going on with your mic? Nothing. We're getting steady.
Now we can't hear you.
Now he got tech
difficulties.
He been asking the whole in the pregame. He's asking the whole time. Right.
We gotta fix that.
Yeah. This is episode 120, as I said. And we have a special guest in our social distancing series. Yes, he is back. We have Kristina Schostak, the communications manager and Open Hands Committee chair of Left Hand Brewing. Let us bring her to the show.
Yeah, because I want to know what all that means. I want to know what all of that title means.
Welcome.
I heard something like open hand.
Open hands and left hands.
Right.
Exactly.
Open hands, left hands, We wear Mary hats around here.
Yeah.
A
lot of
sound like you smacking people.
With my open left. Pop.
Right. You want the open hand or you want the left hand? Which one you want? Which one do you want?
The open hand left, that's the combo move. That's the Mortal Kombat finisher. That's the finisher.
Good. Some old Kung Fu Taekwondo.
That's funny.
Well, we want to welcome you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We want to welcome you to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome.
Before we always get started, we always like to know what everybody's drinking today is. So, what are we drinking today? And we always start with our guests. So, Kristina, what are you drinking today?
All right. I'm going to with my handy dandy opener right here. I'm going to tell you what I'm drinking. I'm drinking Milk Stout Nitro. This is our most popular beer. And I'll give you a little shot of the pour here.
Whoa.
Oh,
Yo,
man,
she's a pro. Look at that.
That's it, man.
Didn't spill an ounce.
Look at
I need
that.
Look at that. Look at that waterfall.
Yep.
Boom.
I got that beer too, but I'm not gonna pour it like that. I just say she took mine. No,
why you gotta
pour it like that.
Oh, yeah, that's no. I'm saying like that, like specifically like that.
Yo, I'm trying that later on. I am doing that.
Yeah, that's nice. That looks delicious.
Cheers.
So tell us a little bit about the characteristics of that for our viewers and listeners, Kristina.
You got it. So this is kind of what we call our pure milk chocolate bliss, hit with a little bit of, it's got chocolate malt in there. We throw in some lactose for a nice creaminess. Some of the roast on the malt gives it this kind of coffee flavor. So you're getting a little mocha, brown sugar, vanilla cream. Actually, our owners, one of our co-founders went to Tanzania, climbing the mountains out there, went to a tiny brew pub and saw this sign splashing beer. And he was all, I need to make something just like what I'm drinking in here. He had a milk stout for the first time, a British beer out in Tanzania, and came back home, brewed this, and it just creates this gorgeous, this nitrogenation on there, creates this gorgeous, fluffy, pillowy head.
What was that word? Nitrogenation.
Nitrogenation. So there's a blend in here of this beer, about 70% carb and about 30% nitro. And nitro has really small bubbles. So it gives it this really silky, smooth, super smooth mouthfeel that just coats your palate and really gives you this experience of drinking beer. It's truly full sensory. You heard me crack it. You saw me pour it. I can smell it, taste it, feel it in different ways than a carbonated beer that give you that kind of bite and crispness, which I think in a couple of the beers you guys are going to be drinking here. And it just goes down really smooth. We were the first brewery to bottle nitrogenated beer, craft beer in the States. There's no widget in here. And when you crack one of those cans of Guinness, that little ball that's spinning around in the bottom doing stuff, that's agitating the nitrogen out of solution because we put the nitrogen in there in a liquid state. We don't have one of those in your glass bottle for obvious reasons. You don't want something rattling around in your glass.
Crack it.
So you get to become the agitator, which I like that. So you take the bottle, you pour it right upside down, pour hard is what we like to call that. And it activates that nitrogen. That's it.
Look at it. Look at Lou. Look at Lou.
Boom.
Yeah, baby.
That's it. Perfect pour every time. You throw that in a 16-ounce glass, you're not going to spill a drop, I promise, as long as you keep it cold. And it just cascades that gorgeous visual. Some things are worth the wait, man. You just wait for that thing to settle, and it's one of my favorite beers. Very cool, unique beer out there, and how most people experience Left Hand for the first time.
Nice. It may have just been my pettiness, but I was hoping Lou made a mess.
It is all your pettiness. It is all your pettiness.
I will tell you, every time
because I did not, I am the greatest.
Right. So you definitely picked the right glass, Lou, to put that in. You didn't,
I had to run and get it.
Oh, that's where you went.
That's why you went.
I had my little left hand glass. That ain't gonna do shit.
Oh no, that wasn't work.
No, that's not the way to go.
Now that would have made the mess.
Yeah, the pettiness would have ruled. Mr. Petty would have got me.
So because Kristina is drinking that today, and obviously Lou is drinking that today, what is that ABV?
6%.
Oh, that's perfect.
Super smooth, goes down easy. This is by far our most popular beer.
And because Kristina, you obviously, for obvious reasons, would say pass me another, how we would rate it. Lou, how would you rate that beer?
Oh yeah, you already know. Pass me another. We did this.
Another?
Yeah. It's a really good stout for sure. Real milky chocolate.
That might be like when it comes to stouts, that may be my favorite stout.
Yeah, it's
it's pretty, man. That unless you can say a Cascade, the brown Niagara Fall is just beautiful.
That is beautiful.
I like it out the can because I like to hear how loud it sounds when you open the can.
Crack that thing.
Okay.
The cans are fun because I feel like you get like this vapor coming out of them. The nitrogen sitting. I don't know how technical you want me to get, but the nitrogen
get with it.
Yeah.
The nitrogen sitting there in a widget, and the bottom of your can. I wish I had one on me, but I don't. Bottom of your can, there's this widget, and we put that nitrogen and that liquid state in there. And when you crack the can, that change in pressure releases the nitrogen out of that widget, so you hear this like it's this really great sound.
Yeah.
Oh.
You see that vapor?
Yeah, that's deep.
That's made for
something else someone's drinking. But you can drink it straight out of the can when it's in there because there's a widget and all that nitro activation is already happening.
So in the bottle you need to pour it out, but in the can you don't necessarily. You don't recommend pouring it, or could you pour it?
I do recommend pouring it. There's some kind of funky things retronasally that can happen with the aluminum cap on top of your can. It's not affecting the beer inside, but you can kind of get some of those. Trick yourself into thinking the beer tastes a little bit different because of that aluminum on the top of the can.
Gotcha.
So I do recommend you pour it into a glass. You kind of alleviate some of those problems. And really nice glassware will actually accentuate different flavors for you that you want to. So the more and more sophisticated you get with your beer drinking, I mean, I'm not above cracking a can of our Pilsner and chugging and enjoying. Do plenty of that on hikes. But if you want to really enjoy it, no, I never drink in public. I didn't say that.
The hikers with nature. You're with nature. They don't care.
But if you want to really get the best out of your glass, different glassware and different shaped glassware are going to do different things for you. Deliver it on different parts of your palate for better experience and taste. And then also accentuate some hops, keep some of the flavor trapped inside. There are different things your glassware is trying to do. So I do recommend you pour it in a glass.
All right.
Did you say retro nasally?
Oh yeah, she been killing it.
Yeah.
I turned that into an adverb
We gotta get it all.
It has been shot. It has been vocabulary workshop, Rob.
Yes, it is going to be a workshop today. Matter of fact, can you certify us with our sister? I was like, no.
When she said nitrogenation, I was like, oh,
it's on and popping.
Yeah, mine was retro nasally. That's what I was like. Oh, okay, we gonna have a podcast today.
Yeah, words of the day.
I wrote that one down.
All right, so Dev, what are you drinking? Because I know we're still at this part.
I know. That's why I said we're gonna get all into this. We're gonna have a whole education session today. Well, Rob, glad you asked. I am drinking Left Hand Brewing's Wookbait IPA. IPA is my absolute favorite style of beer. So glad I was able to speak up fast and pick this one. Color wise, I would say this is your, traditional, color. The smell, the aromas you get right from, smelling it through the glass. You get the citrusy, you get, you get some floral aromas in there too, but nothing too heavy. The mouthfeel, the taste of it on your palate is delicious. And hey, from your hands to my hands, cheers at a 6% ABV, 37 IBUs. Pass me another. Cheers.
All right. Yo, what you got?
I'm drinking, of course, from Left Hand Brewing, the Moscow Mule in Lime Ale.
Mm-hmm.
Pale Ale, I'm sorry, but this is a 5.5,
and
it's real light, something real light, but you can taste
like sparkly. It's like sparkly light or like seltzerly light. What do you think?
Look at it.
Oh, color.
Yeah, but even the flavor. I mean, it's a 5.5. I didn't expect it to be too strong, but you could taste the lime is really strong to me.
Pronounced.
I would have liked a little bit more ginger in there.
Oh,
but then I mean, I don't want it to go into tasting just like a ginger beer. So I kind of but it's pretty good. I would say pass me another on this too.
Hey, Rob G. Hey,
Rob
G. Before I know where you're about to go, Devin. I'm gonna get there. First of all, go Sixers. And then Rob G. What would you? I have to say it.
Philly Unite.
Right. I was thinking I was about to wear my Embiid shirt, but I was like, you know what? It's a podcast day. I'm a podcast it up. But Rob G.
Yes, sir.
What would you happen to be drinking on this week, sir?
I'm getting tiki with it.
Nah.
Have the there you go. That's the nitro. I actually poured it in the glass. I should have waited, I guess, because I did get that same vapor when I cracked it open.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a pina colada wheat. It's 7.5%, which is but it's only 15 IBU, so it's deceptively smooth. And so it's like the drink that you get on vacation where you've had 17 of them that you didn't realize it because it tastes like.
It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you sleep.
With a hammock.
I need a nap.
Right. This is definitely a hammock
beer.
drinking.
Yeah.
You say it pairs well with cabanas and day beds.
Yes. I was like 7.5. Oh no, this ain't 7.5, but
it's definitely 7.5.
But the bitter scale is very low, so cool. I mean, so it is definitely smooth. You can and that creaminess actually makes it feel like a pina colada that you're drinking. So so cheers. So definitely pass me another for me.
4 for 4. Yes.
You know what's crazy with this? I could probably drink a 6-pack of these with no problem.
Oh, good.
Probably it's something that you could drink all day.
Right.
So when y'all start drinking 6. God damn.
6 packs.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I was going to go with it before Rob, which Lou alluded to, before Rob gave his beer description. where would you see yourself drinking that 6-pack, Yoda? Like on what kind of day? Back patio day, beach day, what kind of day?
Today.
89 degrees and sunny.
Well, shoot, today's gonna reach like 90s. So you're gonna be on the back porch with it.
I sit on the patio.
Sitting on the patio.
What about you, Dev?
Listen to my music.
Well, me, I would definitely drink this at a barbecue. So it would definitely be in my cooler. Or I would bring this to a barbecue. So I would probably say I would be recommending this as a smooth, subtle IPA. It doesn't have as a lot of I would say aftertaste or bite on the end of it. So I think that people would be pleasantly surprised who are not frequent IPA drinkers. So this is where I would bring this to the barbecue. And
so it doesn't just smell delicious. You're saying that
no,
that's not just gonna smell delicious.
It's not going to just smell delicious. It is really, really smooth on the palate.
Okay.
He's definitely,
Christina, all IPAs smell
adverse.
really good, but
IPA adverse.
They don't taste no way like they smell.
I'd encourage you to try this one. There's a really healthy balance of sweetness to it to really kind of balance that bitterness. So there's some.
It gives you a hazy taste, like almost like if it was like doubled or.
Little hazy. There's orange. I mean, the Lotus hops gives it this like orange, almost this little bit of vanilla, tropical fruit, and that's where that picture comes on the front. Those Lotus, and you get lots of stone fruit, peach, just honeydew and cantaloupe to give some of that melon sweetness too. So there's some good counterbalance there.
She's such a good. She can give a good description.
That's what I was about to say. We need to just finish it
so
up.
Good.
Christina,
she is the communication manager.
Right. Christina, you might as well do the tiki with it. And what beer you got, Yoda? You might as well explain. You might as well explain them better than we did.
I'm happy to talk about them. Moscow Mule is one of my favorites. We actually have this Brewers Test Kitchen series where our brewers get to have fun, play around in our pilot system, work with new ingredients, kind of showcase some of their creativity. And that was one of the beers last year that we came out with. It did really well in one of our mixed packs. It wasn't sold alone. And everybody's like, we got to make this a seasonal beer. Nice. There's a little bit of ginger. We press the ginger in-house. So it's organic ginger that we hand press here. Put that in. I agree. I like a little extra ginger. I like that spice. There's a nice healthy amount of lime. And then there's lemon drop hops in there. Lemon drop hops gives it that like citrus zing and a little bit of pop. But keeping it at 5.5, that little extra carbonation to make it just go down real easy. It is one of those beers that we call crushable. I know that word's used over and over again, but it is crushable. You can easily drink a 6-pack at your pool, drink a 6-pack, 89 degrees and enjoy. And I like that one a lot. I think the lemon drop hops helps out a lot, brings out that citrus. And that's why I think you're noticing, Yoda, that lime more.
Is that the only hops that was in it? The lemon drop?
I think they use other hops in the boil, but that's what they're using really for the flavoring hops.
Y'all ever heard of that? I've never heard of lemon drop hops before.
But
I've heard them.
Of course. Yeah, we know.
I don't know what to do, guys. We are only 19 minutes in.
You got three more beers.
I know.
Go ahead.
I can see somebody.
Go ahead. Enjoy your anniversary, bro.
If
I know, right? I gotta drive though.
And I ate something that I didn't like. I would like drink this beer next because it kind of like cleans your palate.
Okay.
If it was
like a sorbet,
like maybe if you ate like sometimes people may burn a burger here or two, and you might get that one that's just too burnt. You get that burnt flavor in your mouth. This is definitely get rid of it. It's like it definitely cleans it out.
Palate cleansing.
Yeah, it's the sorbet of it's left hand sorbet.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
So to your point, Lil, what I'm going to do later, since I do have still 3 more to try, I think. And I know you might not hear this a lot, Christina, but women in general, at least in, I would say, our households, don't drink beer a lot. But I'm going to try the Moscow Mule later when we head to Chesapeake Bay for our anniversary dinner. I'm going to get down there a little early. I'm going to take the Moscow Mule with us. And I'm going to say, honey, try this. She will try it. She will try one of them.
You think she'll like it, Yoda?
Is it a gateway? Would it be a gateway for Asia?
I was going to use that word.
I don't think she'll like it.
Okay. What do you think might
say that? Because at the end of the day, it still tastes like beer.
Like a beer.
Yeah. What Lou has, she might like though. That Flamingo Dreams, I think. There's a little.
I had that from
tartness
now.
to
She
it.
might like that because it's a little tart. Yeah, it's a little tart.
A little tartness to it, so she'd have to like some tart. Hey, we all have our journeys. Yeah. Drink what you like.
This probably be better. Than,
I'll go grab one of those. Did you get that from Crescent, or did you get that? You did. Okay, I got it right in my neighborhood.
Yeah,
awesome. Okay,
all right.
I have one more question before we get all into it. Kristina, could you describe Rob's beer and tell us a little bit more intricate detail about the getting tiki with it?
Yeah, getting tiki.
Shout out to Will Smith.
A little bit. That's exactly where the vibe's coming from. I think it says na 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 na.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I needed to say that.
That one really was the inspiration was when Nitro gives you this creamy, really nice mouthfeel. What can we do to mimic some of those frozen daiquiris or frozen pina colada cocktails, margaritas kind of things? We're playing around with a few things around here, and really leverage that mouthfeel to kind of get you to think about other things. And getting tiki with it, our brewers are really proud of the way they added coconut in the brew. I don't know if you know, but oil is really the antithesis of any type of carbonation. And so if you put oil in, you get these really flat experiences, but coconut is so rich in oil. And so that's why you don't see it successfully in a lot of different beers. They did a lot of test runs, trial run that, put the coconut in, add real pineapple after that. And then they dry hop it with Sabro. And Sabro is one of those hops that actually has a lot of tropical fruit and one of the few that's actually known for having a little bit of coconut. And so it pulls out some of that flavor as well. Add a little nitro, add a little lactose, milk sugar for that nice creaminess. Those lactose sugar chains are so long that yeast can't break them down. Yeast is lactose intolerant. So the lactose just stays there. So there's a little sweetness that's involved with all of that. And I think that really mimics the cocktail as well. And it just goes down real smooth.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm
in trouble today with this.
Did you guys hear her humble brag? A lot of breweries can't use coconut, but we got a coconut beer.
Maybe I said something like that.
I'm listening.
Proud of our brewing staff.
I'm listening. Yeah, shout out to them.
It makes my job so easy. I only have to talk about the beer, and once the beer is so incredible, I have obviously a fun time talking about our beer.
That's what's up. All right. Well, it looks like we have great beers, but now I guess we want to get all into what Left Hand Brewing is, who Kristina is, how she got into the industry. So the floor is yours. Welcome again.
Yes. We welcome you.
Well, thank you. It's really nice to be here. I feel like it's been a while since some podcasts took some breaks and stuff, and so it's real nice to be here. You want me to start with me, with Left Hand?
However you want to go.
However you want to go.
Show. Yep.
All right. I am a huge baseball fan, and I was in the wine industry when I was in California. And I started looking for houses in California, and I'm like, there's no way I can afford this. 15 years ago, looking for this like shoebox of a place at $600,000. I'm like, no way. I am a struggling college student and working behind a bar, and it's not going to happen. And I was working in the wine industry as a sommelier, and I was really kind of wine snobby about it and really didn't love beer too much. And one of the accounts I was working with, he came up to me and he's like, I want to challenge you. If you'll sit down and drink a beer, and think about it the way you'll think about wine, I guarantee you fall in love with it. I'm like, all right, I'll give you a shot. So he sat down in front of me a Logsden from Pacific Northwest, Logsden Saison Bretta. And my mind was blown. There was Saison and some Belgian yeast. I didn't know all this at the time, right? Some Belgian yeast and some bubblegum and clove that was happening. Brett gave this like horse hay feel that I love in Pinot Noir. And kind of this like funkiness to it. And my mind was blown about how much flavor there was. I'm like, wow, there is a lot more to beer than Budweiser. Shock. So fast forward about a year, I'd gone to 95 different breweries. I'm kind of nerdy. I had this like Excel spreadsheet going with like all these different beers I tried it and rating systems and talking about them all. I'm like, I want to be in the beer industry. People are cooler. People are nicer. This is where I want to be.
Okay.
So I'm deciding I want to move. So I'm going to different National League baseball ballparks all across the country because I won't go somewhere where there's not baseball. I'm like, I got to go somewhere that's cheaper to live.
That's my connection.
And baseball's close. Yes.
Something with baseball. So I'm like, something that's kind of nice weather, not too humid. I can't handle it. I don't mind the snow. I want some hiking. I love hiking. There has to be beer culture. And maybe I'll hit like a couple out of it. It has to be a baseball park. So maybe I'll hit like 3 or 4 out of these. I land in Colorado, done. I'm like, this is exactly where I want to be. This is about 6 or 7 years ago. This is exactly where I want to be.
Altitude's great.
It has everything that she said. Like, I was like, there's no other place in America. Like, it's Denver.
I really thought I was going to have to like compromise on a few things. And no, I got everything I wanted out here. So I land. I came out here on a baseball road trip with my dad. We land. My dad doesn't drink too much, but I finally snuck in a beer right before we left. And it was Left Hand's Good Juju. Which is a ginger beer. This one's more gingery if you're looking for more ginger. Yeah, it's a ginger pale ale.
And it's named after your boy.
And his son's nickname is Juju.
That's Yoda beer. That's you better love it. You can't not love it.
Continue.
You're good. And so I have this Good Juju beer, and I'm like, and so Left Hand kind of was always synonymous with my move to Colorado. It was the only beer I had when I was out here. It was part of what I wanted. My husband and I get married. I came out here. I've been here for about 6 weeks. And like, all right, I'm ready to look for a job. I'd saved a little bit so I could take a little time off. And the first day I said, hey, honey, I'm going to go look for a job. Left Hand that day posted, hey, we're looking for beer tenders. And that's what I was going to do. So I went over there. I actually drank Good Juju on a trip to Berlin too. So I put a picture. I was like super fangirl, like put a picture in my cover letter of like me drinking Good Juju with this vegan creperie in East Berlin. And like this whole thing about how I have to be here. This is part of my whole journey from California and breaking free and all this stuff.
Sell it, girl.
For some reason they hired me. So they hired me. I come out here and I started as a beer tender here. And I worked for 1.5 years behind the bar, got to know the beer really well, got to know the people of this town that Lou says is in the middle of nowhere, but it's not in the middle of nowhere.
Longmont is not Denver. Longmont is not Denver.
Let me tell you
Longmont is not Denver. I'm going to say probably not Denver. Maybe I should say that.
Say it, Yoda.
If somebody from Delaware,
probably not Denver.
If somebody from Delaware can say that it's in the middle of nowhere, it's in the middle of nowhere.
We are very centrally located.
Central middle.
Central to what? Central to what?
You're an hour from the airport, an hour from being.
Central from an airport. 60 minutes.
Hour from being actually on the Rocky Mountain paths. 40 minutes from Fort Collins, 40 minutes from Denver, 20 minutes from Boulder. Everything's right around us. We are the
lost me. You lost me at an hour from the airport.
So it is Delaware.
Right. It's centrally located to everything an hour away.
It's Delaware. So it's Delaware.
And as soon as traffic gets bad, it'll be 2 hours away.
Well, so and I'll say this: from going to leaving the country and going to an island like St. Lucia and things like that. When you go from the airport, it takes you an hour to get to the
It don't
island.
matter. It could be 2 minutes. It could be 2 miles away in St. Lucia, and you driving 3 hours, bro.
And you're on that bus. Like, can I get to where I'm going? I just flew all these hours. I still got
the second time you go to St. Lucia, you be like, okay, where are the resorts that are 5 minutes away from the airport?
Right.
My transfer ain't gonna be but 20 minutes.
Exactly, unless you want to take that helicopter ride.
That's anniversary. That's anniversary.
That's anniversary thing.
You talking about anniversary stuff?
Helicopter ride.
I'm gonna take a helicopter to the resort next time.
Why not?
We still gonna be in the little jitney.
Oh man!
All right.
So that was your journey that landed you at Left Hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you mixed in a little bit of like your background. I guess what else has happened? What year did that begin? And kind of what has your journey at Left Hand kind of morphed into?
Yeah. So that was in 2016.
Okay.
I worked behind the bar for a couple of years and really fell in love with this brewery and their mission to build community around better beer. And that really is our mission, is to be really community focused. We have a nonprofit organization that's Left Hand Brewing Foundation, where we do a lot to give back in our community and really concerned with an inclusive culture here at Left Hand. And so I think I got my job for the beer and I stay for the nonprofit work that we do and the people that I work with.
Nice. That's wonderful.
And I love it. And so kind of my journey when I started in the tasting room and then I started doing some of the social media just for the little fledgling tasting room account. not for the national account. And then I started doing tasting room at events. And I think every time there was a job open in marketing, I applied, and I just stuck with it and persevered, let people know kind of what my career paths were here. And I think I was just very fortunate with a lot of great people and great managers that wanted to nurture me, not only on a personal level, but also on a professional level, and kind of get me to the next step and help me get to that mark. And so then I became our social media coordinator and started handling the whole national accounts, which we have a little over 400,000 followers. So it's really fun. I get at least 1,500 notifications a day.
Wow. Wow.
And now I'm the communications manager. So I do pretty much, if it's got words, I did it. So the words on your can are mine, the words on the boxes, all of the website content, our press releases, blogs, anything to do with PR and press and media relations. And so that's what I do. Podcasts. That's what I do now.
Right.
Well, just speaking of that, because I know, I guess about a year ago, I guess Long Left Hand went through their logo changed a little bit, because it used to have like the whole birth certificate. I guess not to, so y'all didn't want people to know it was it Longmount? Is that what it is?
Longmont.
He was like, I want people to know in there. So that's not there anymore on the logo now. Now it's just it's more the left hand is really more pronounced.
When was that? I didn't know that. I've only seen the red hands.
Well, it's always had the red hands, but it had more of the.
Oh yeah. I see what you said.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay, yeah. Because look, my hand
has
that one, but look.
Look at this beer from here.
Yeah.
Can you read that it says left hand?
Right.
No,
right.
Don't even know that.
But that red hand.
This one you can read.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's what we did. We did some brand work. A new director of marketing, Jill Preston. She's my boss and amazing. And she came over here and came into our marketing department. And that was one of her first and major projects she wanted to work on, is how do people know us? And so many people were like, oh, you're that like Hand Brewery, or you're like that Red Hand Brewery, or you're like the Nitro Brewery. Well, like, what's our name? Oh, I don't know.
Red hands. Yeah, I thought I would have said red hands. Yeah. If I didn't if we weren't on the podcast, it would definitely. Yeah. I even like the tab, the left hand with on the tabs too.
Yeah.
That's cool
so it wasn't so much to get rid of Longmont. I mean, there was some serious discussion about that. We're proud of being from Longmont, but you could not read.
I'm just messing
I'm going to stick with this. Obviously, it hit a nerve in the middle of nowhere.
I didn't even notice the difference until Rob brought it up.
But yeah, you can read it a lot better now.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot of really the entire brewery working together, but our whole department and our incredible design team, creative managers Britt and designer Carly, doing a lot of work.
So
I did my homework here. I seen that they did a rebrand.
Yeah, I did not even notice.
I got a question on that though.
It's on all the cans too.
So since the logos changed like that, has there been like a difference in sales because of that, or?
So that's a great
visibility.
question.
Yeah,
maybe?
like has it helped anything with on the marketing side?
That's a great question. Typically, when companies do a rebrand, they're seeing anywhere between a 10 and 30% increase in sales just because it looks new on the shelf, and people are like, "Ooh, I see that brewery for the first time," or there's something kind of flashy, shiny, new. We released this, and 6 weeks later, COVID hit and everything shut down. So we were hoping to see a much bigger explosion. We did see definitely a lot bigger, like a lot of breweries. We saw a lot more stuff happen off premise. That means going to like your liquor store and taking it where you drink it away. Right. But we, like every brewery, a lot of our on premise, meaning like your events and restaurants and places like that, really suffered. About 30 to 40% of our total sales happen in kegs. And when all the locations that do kegs all of a sudden shut down, that's 30 to 40% of your business gone. Overnight.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we had some challenges, but definitely had incredible feedback over the new logos. Definitely seeing a lot of new fans as I'm monitoring all those social media handles, and Taylor, who also works with me as well, doing social media, monitoring all the handles and seeing great feedback, and a lot of upbeat and refreshed designs for things too. So kind of some slight tweaks and some real new changes, like this. I didn't mean for this to really be show and tell, but so this is like Sawtooth before.
Oh, nice.
And then this is it now, a little bit cleaner.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just pops on the shelf a little bit more. And so we've seen some really good, what we call kind of a billboard effect, where you get all of our packaging together in a shelf, and you can see like, ooh, I can see this red stripe all the way down this packaging, and the same logo all the way down in these fun, cool, different cans, and it really catches your eye.
Cool.
Now this is probably just because I'm doing my Devon thing. So I see Left Hander Palooza and the Nitro Brew Fest. Those are things I guess happened in the past. Are they coming back after now that the world is opening back up?
Yes, I think we're really working on Oktoberfest. We took that festival over from the city about 8 or 9 years ago, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Maybe a decade now, because I think last year we had to skip it. Okay. But it's been something going on in the city of Longmont for about 30 years, and then our foundation took it over. And we're hoping that that'll be our first festival back. We throw three large events every year, and 100% of the profits go to nonprofits in our community.
Nice.
And so that's been something I'd really love to see come back in a big way. Nitrofest is the same thing, and it is cool. Y'all need to come, and you all need to come. We will figure out a way.
I'll be on the plane.
Nitro. Is it just all nitro beers? Is just all nitro beers? Is that the thing?
All nitro beers.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I can't even imagine all that.
It's all nitro beers. We fly in breweries from all across the world. We had 11 countries there last year: Japan, Hungary, Korea. Coming in, making nitrogenated beers, incredible breweries across the country, making one-off nitro beer that you cannot get anywhere else.
Oh my goodness!
It's phenomenal, and we make some fun, exciting things.
I'm finding out right now. Look, I'm googling. I'm gonna have you covered, Lou.
It's coming back in 2022, and you've got to come.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect.
The only nitrogenated beer festival in the country. There's always a theme, so we have people dress up on theme, and I can send you some pictures afterwards. If I don't know if you guys do vlogs and stuff.
What were some themes in the past?
Last year was kind of a cosmic masquerade, so we had people in like these huge alien outfits, or not like Trekkie or Comic-Con so much, even though we did have some of that. I had some like nitro flashing glasses that were on, and some kind of spaceship themes. We did kind of Fantasyland, where we had people in this like Cheshire cat grins and wigs, and kind of on stilts, being like these huge fairies and stuff.
So you need to let me know the theme by like April, if this is going to be in October. So I can get my outfit.
It'll be 2022. We usually announce the theme like 6 months in advance. Yes, we have a costume contest, and people flip out.
I'm gonna enter that contest. I'm gonna enter.
It's all dark.
This is a different side of you, Lou. I didn't know.
Why? I don't mind.
I said he wear costumes all the time.
Yeah, you don't know all of my life. You don't know what I do behind. The guy a couple of weeks ago thought I had Hershey Kisses. You don't know my life.
You don't know his life.
And I think he just love Colorado. I think that's his.
I really do. When she was talking about the things that she needs in Colorado, and she needs, I'm like, that is Colorado. Colorado was a great vacation, guys. I never got to talk about it on the podcast.
Listen, that's where I was going next.
I'm going back.
This is your connection, right? This you went to Left Hand Brewing on your vacation, and I wanted to know if you got a chance to meet Kristina. Did you meet other people that connected you and Kristina? And what was your experience visiting Left Hand in person?
I want to hear more about this too. How the tasting room was and everything.
It was good. It was good. So I'll mix in the whole day. So we went hiking, and hiking's like an hour away from Longmont. So which we know now. We got in the car and we filled up the gas tank and we drove all the way out.
Here we go.
I'm teasing Chrissy. But yeah, so we drove out to Longmont, and first stop, we went to Outworld. I contacted them ahead of time. They gave us a nice little tour, and then we look at the time because the tour went over. Look at the time. I think at that time y'all were closing like at 8:30, and it's 7:30. I'm like, it's 10 minutes away. Let's just go. And we go in there, and I say, hey, I know y'all closing. I had my shirt on. I said, I do a podcast. I'm from Delaware. And they said, oh, you from Delaware? They're like, sit down. It doesn't matter. It was a man and it was a lady that was there that were bartending and or beer tending. And the both of them was saying, you could be here as long as you want. just taste the beer, enjoy the beer, and let us know what you think. So I was just like, just give me a flight of whatever y'all want me to try. So they gave me some flight. It was some new stuff. The milk stout was in there. I don't remember everything else. It was a long day. But drunk the beer. It was great. They let me stay. I was there for over an hour. Went to the little session. Y'all have a gift shop in there. Went to the gift shop, picked out 2 things, got to the register, and I didn't pay for the stuff. I had a credit card ready, but she was like, "No, you're fine. You're from Delaware, and you on the podcast." And I was like, "Well, who do I contact to get you guys on?" And she just said, "Just DM us on Instagram." And like less than a week later, Christine said, "Here's my email," and we've been chatting ever since. Man. It was a great.
Roll out the red carpet,
right? And it was
awesome.
Like long. Left Hand has been one of our favorite breweries since we started this podcast. So it was just kind of like, oh, I gotta go if I'm being Colorado. It didn't matter that it was an hour away from where I was. Like, I'm gonna I'm renting a car. Just like we rented a car. Christina just realized we rented a car to go to Outworld and Left Hand. Like we were like, it's 2 of our favorite breweries that are in Longmont. We gotta go. Yeah, so it was definitely something that we wanted to do on a trip. I'm glad that I got a chance. And y'all, like Devin said, the red carpet, like I felt like a superstar on that Saturday, man. It was wow. I ain't paid for beer. Y'all did me right. Y'all did me right.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, I'm coming back. Yeah. Like if I go to anytime you go to Denver, like I recommend it to everybody, like rent the car and take that long ass ride out there. It's worth it.
Yes,
it's definitely worth it for sure. Yes. It was well worth it for sure.
Just talk to our transportation agency about getting that train that the city already paid for from Denver to Longmont and actually building that thing.
Yeah, put some railroad tracks down. It's 2020, 2021. God damn it. Y'all don't know how to
they said they already got the money, so they should be down there.
Yeah, I won't turn this into a political podcast, but hey, look, we're working on infrastructure currently on a big trillion.
I feel like that's a drink.
Right, drink. I need to go get another one. So we're working on infrastructure. Hopefully, Colorado's plans are included.
It's in that.
It's in there.
But nah, man. It was like I told you, Christina. It was you. I don't remember their names, but it was 3 people that I was involved with that worked there, and everybody was
represented
awesome.
them well. They represented
absolutely.
Thank you. I genuinely believe that it could have been anybody behind the bar that would treated you that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
A really great family of people around here. Like I said, I came for the free beer, but I really stay for the people and the nonprofit work. I love who I work with.
Well, great segue.
About the exactly. You talked about the nonprofit. So tell us all about the nonprofit. What you do with it, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so really a myriad of different things. What we're most well known for are these big major events. So Oktoberfest, where we've given back before to either Houston Relief, we've given back to the Humane Society here in town. We do Leftapalooza, which is one of my favorites, where we have a whole bunch of cover bands. They all compete against each other and from all different types of genre. Everything from B-52 to Devo covers. Primus is my favorite. And Rage Against the Machine. And do all these different covers. They win and get a little bit of a prize, but all the proceeds go to local nonprofits through one of the ones that we've contacted with before, Hope, Strength, Love, that are really working with blood cancers and leukemia. We've had hundreds of people get registered on the list through these events. And statistically, that means that we've saved or impacted at least 6 or 7 lives through those people that have gotten on there. Our president, Eric Wallace, actually matched and went and gave a donation as well. And so I think there's a really concrete and tangible thing to say that we're really directly impacting lives through these events. Plus, they're just a freaking fun party. You get to drink a lot of beer, invite all your friends, talk to people. I love serving beer. I miss it in my role. I think I love what I do now, but I love that experience of handing somebody a beer, making their day a little bit better, making their anniversary a little bit better, making their birthday a little bit better, being part of their trip finally to Left Hand for the first time. They've always loved this brewery and been like, hey, this is probably a once in a lifetime or maybe a couple time in a lifetime experience for somebody. How can we make this awesome, even though it might just be my Friday? And I'm ready to go home.
That's another thing. That's what it was. It was another Saturday for them, but it was a couple time in a lifetime experience for me, and they made me feel that's exactly a perfect explanation for that. Yep.
I want to put that. I want to blast that everywhere. I'm going to tell this whole team.
Yeah, go ahead and clip this. You can clip that.
Yeah, I love sharing that stuff.
Take that with you.
And so they're fun events where you just get to connect with the community a lot. We host different nonprofits there as well, so they can come set up a booth for free and kind of spread awareness about what they're doing. Give exposure to some local artists as well through some of the artisan markets that we've been doing, and really support that community and the music community. And a lot of this money, thousands of dollars, ends up getting funneled back into community activations. And I love seeing that happen.
Okay. It's awesome.
That's some great stuff.
Yeah.
I
was going to ask a question just about, Left Hand's net, I would say, kind of distribution of your beer. I mean, you guys are national. Are there areas where you just constantly find yourself like over forecasted? I know this isn't maybe not your area, or area of expertise because you're marketing, but where do you kind of see that boom or that influx, or just you guys are constantly refilling and kind of find your brand is the most profound in the US?
And before you answer, Christine, to piggyback, what's the most surprising city where you're getting the great feedback that you wouldn't really expect?
That's a good one. I like that a lot. So obviously our biggest market is Colorado. About 1 out of every 3 beers we sell here in our home state.
Okay.
We are in 46 states and DC, and about 7 or 8 countries as well.
Wow.
Not shipping out a whole lot of beer internationally, but lots of countries asking for it all the more. I think our biggest markets, Chicago area, we have a huge following in Illinois, which is pretty cool. Great following in Florida. Texas. And one of the things that surprises me a little bit, because we don't get all of our styles out there, is California and my hometown. I didn't know about Left Hand when I lived in Orange County. And now I feel like I'm getting people from Southern California all the time, always asking for what's new, what's hot. And there's a lot of great breweries in San Diego, lots of more coming out of LA and Orange County where I'm from, and obviously in the Bay Area. And so more and more people asking for Colorado beer out there has been really exciting. And we also have a really good following on the Eastern Shoreboard as well. So I'd say that's where our biggest meccas are. But outside of Colorado, it's really Chicago.
Okay.
That's awesome. And you spoke of like international brands. Like are a lot of these international destinations, are they like resorts, hotels, or are they more just kind of bars, restaurants kind of thing? What's that landscape look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it kind of depends on the country. For example, we're big in Sweden. There's a huge metal following in Scandinavia. And I'm wearing a Wake Up Dead t-shirt, which is after a metal band. We have Fade to Black as well. And so, or songs rather. And for some reason, we are just really huge in Scandinavia. And I think it's part of the artwork and those allusions to Metallica and others. But they have something set up called the Systembolaget. So the only way that we can get in there is by selling our beer. We have to package it different. We have to have like the labels and all. Yeah, you have to package it different. Use their system of measurement for different types of beers. Use obviously the dates have to be swapped for the day and the month. So we send them out there in those ways, and they have to be sold through basically a monopoly system of these liquor stores throughout the nation. And that's the only place that we can be. And so it varies really depending on where we are. I got it in a restaurant when I was in Germany. So it kind of depends on the country and what their laws are. And it varies.
Now, I guess this was probably a question we probably should have asked earlier. Why Left Hand Brewing? Why is it called Left Hand Brewing?
Right.
That's a great question. So we incorporated, actually, Eric and Dick, our 2 co-founders, Eric Wallace and Dick Dorr. They met in the Air Force Academy and kind of went their own separate ways, came back. Eric found Dick, actually, his brother gave him a home brewing kit. And he said after one batch of beer, it was all downhill from there. Would not stop brewing beer. I know I'm giving you a really long-winded answer, but here we go.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
That's just my style.
Yep, we're here. This Sunday.
And so would not stop drinking beer. He's brewing all this beer out of his garage. All of his friends, family, neighbors are drinking this beer for free, 90 free, and loving it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we would pay to have this beer on the regular. You got to open a brewery. So that's what he did. And Eric and Dick incorporated in 1993 as Indian Peaks Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. Right along here, I've got the Rocky Mountains right behind me, which you can see beautifully through my wall. Right along the Rocky Mountains.
That's wonderful. Use your imagination.
Right there, just an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see what you did. Wilderness is right next to it. And so he named it Indian Peaks after some of our local topography around here and geography. Okay. And so we went to incorporate. We got all started. Had Indian Peaks distributing company. Pardon me. And then turns out down the road there was a brewery that had Indian Peaks Ale. And they asked us, pretty please, in the form of an NDA to stop using that name. And so then we decided not to, and looking for somebody else to name our brewery after that really spoke to this area and to the land and to the region. So there was a Native American Southern Arapaho chief named Chief Niwot. Niwot translates to left hand. He summered along the Rocky Mountains and wintered here in Boulder County. And was a really amazing man, did a lot of work for peace, spoke 7 different indigenous languages, and then also learned English. So we could really work to try and keep the peace between different tribes and keep the peace as obviously Westerners were coming in here and decimating the area. And really amazing man, really community focused. And sadly, he was killed in the Sand Creek Massacre here. But a lot of areas name themselves after Left Hand and kind of an homage to the man that he was. And so there's Left Hand Creek, there's Left Hand Canyon, there's Left Hand Yoga, there's Left Hand Florist, there's Left Hand Boulevard, and we are Left Hand Brewing. There's a city of Niwot named after him, Niwot High School named after him. We're Left Hand Brewing. And so it was really after this man and his kind of vision for peace and community. And since we were community focused and had a community vibe, that's where it started. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Oh, so, well, I guess that ties.
I was
in
not.
I was with the
charitable
nonprofit and all stuff.
And all the charity that you guys do. That's awesome. I was not expecting it to go there. I thought both of them were left-handed. I was like, oh,
I hold my beer in my left hand.
Right. Them Air Force guys shake hands left-handed.
Right.
We have sort of kind of gone away from really anything with Arapaho or indigenous people iconography or things on our labels because I want to be really sensitive. I had a long talk with Eric Wallace, our president, about this, really sensitive about any types of cultural appropriation or leveraging other cultures for our own benefit. And so when you talk to people now, I think it shows in the work. Most people know us as left hand or think of us as either sometimes politically on the left, which we're not, but not necessarily, just we are who we are. And everybody's different that works at our brewery, but not aligned that way as a business necessarily. Yep. And thinks about us as kind of the left-hand brewery, or you have to be left-handed to work here or something like that. And so there's some intention of really honoring who Chief Niwot was, but not trying to leverage in another culture.
Gotcha. Okay. Christina, does that, when you brought up some people think that we're on the left, does that hurt your brewery? From like people maybe thinking, people on the right thinking that you're a left?
I think if you're going to be, to be frank, if you're going to be that type of person and can't just enjoy a beer, you're going to be that type of person and can't just enjoy a beer.
Okay.
Good answer. Communication.
But we definitely have people with either feeling that there's a type of political association with us and really then wanting to align themselves with us. Or we've gone into some new markets, opened up in some new states. And I've had people send me messages and be like, I would never drink anything with the word left on it. And I'm like, man, you do you. I don't think we want you maybe drinking our beer. So you do your thing. Mm-hmm.
So they go in a lot of circles because they never make a left hand turn.
Right.
The GPS.
Right.
The GPS.
Right.
You got to put your GPS on right hand turn.
She is behind the wheel again. Oh my God.
Yo, what if that person was an Uber driver? You would never get to your destination. That's terrible. That's a good one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you went out again.
People can be crazy with their thoughts.
Yeah. I would say
has it gone the opposite way where people that lean to the left are like, I'm only drinking Left Hand Brewery because I think they're left leaning?
I don't see a lot of that, maybe, but I do see some people, as a lot of our fans. I think we've been with our Open Hands committee, we've been a little bit more open about some of our belief systems here and our inclusion and our desire to embrace differences and really make everyone feel welcome in our tasting room. And we've made a few statements or marketing decisions that I've been really proud of. And so we've seen incredible response to that. Anytime we've made something that's anytime we posted something that's kind of tapped into what's going on in our culture and what's going on in our society right now, have been one of our highest engaged, because that's one of my jobs, is to look at like what posts do better than others, have been our highest engagement. And I'm just super proud of our fans for that, and super proud of the people that drink Left Hand Beer, that they're concerned with what we're doing in our community. And follow us thinking along those lines as well. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, because I guess we would be remiss in not bringing up this thing that has happened over social media. I guess in the last 2 weeks, where
Pop Tops,
a young lady brought this to the forefront. She asked for anonymous stories about your experience in the craft beer industry, and I don't know if Left Hand made a statement, or I know some people have made their statement, or even if you personally, like, if you had any feedback and thoughts about it, because I mean, I've seen a lot. There's some CEOs that have stepped down or have been asked to leave, so it's been, I guess, a tumultuous 2 weeks, and I think it's always, I guess, it's been there, but I think it just took this moment, I guess, for it to really spur some of the change that we're seeing, I guess, starting to take place.
Change would be nice. I think you all can speak about things that have been happening for a long time, that it finally takes a few things to happen that the media picks up for, that maybe starts to tip the scale a little bit. Gotcha. But still a lot more change needs to happen, and hope that it's not a media soundbite or a year-long soundbite, but some active and real change. And I think I've been really, it's been very difficult to see a lot of the things that Brianne has brought to the forefront through these anonymous stories. I think it's been devastating, heartbreaking, sickening sometimes, but by and large, not very surprising, which is hard. And I'm hoping to see, the BA came out and made a statement. I'm hoping to see some more breweries do the same thing. But statements without a lot of activation behind them are something that we've been really intentional about here as a brewery. This has been something on our committee's mind for the last, for really a few years, but really actively on our DEI committee's mind for the last 4 or 5 months. And trying to come up with some programs in-house that we're working that are really everything from management training to having anonymous ways to talk about. We do have an anonymous way inside of our brewery to talk about anything that might be happening with you, that you need to share in any way that you're not feeling valued or included, or ways that we can be better as a brewery about doing that as well. And we have those QR codes posted all over the brewery, and it's 100% anonymous. And I love seeing those responses. Nice. And how we can always constantly be better. We're really working internally, and some of the activations that we can do before kind of any public statements made. So it's really grounded in this place of authenticity and truth, and that we're doing the work, which I know we are doing the work here. My experience here has been incredible. I've always been really nurtured and taken care of. But I work along people that live in this society, and y'all know from your experiences, microaggressions that happen day in and day out are real and every day. And especially people that are public facing in our tasting room. I've had people, not necessarily here, I'd rather keep kind of this anonymous where these things were happening to me, but I've had people ask me if I'm qualified. I've had somebody ask me, do you know anything about the beer? Could you bring somebody over here that knows what about this beer that you just poured me? I've had people touch me inappropriately. I've had people call me racial slurs. I've had people use verbiage towards me that I'm just shocked by. And then sometimes the response has been like, you work in this industry. And that's kind of that's kind of just part of the deal. You're getting tipped. And that's kind of how it's been. And I really don't mean that that's happening here in our space. I worked in the restaurant industry for 18 years before I got here.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of my husband. Actually, a friend reached out and was like, "Hey, is your wife dealing with this stuff at work?" And he's like, she's a woman and in the industry, she deals with it. Every woman is dealing with it. Definitely to different extents. I'm super proud that there's a forum for this out here. I'm really glad that the voice is getting out there, but there needs to be action after that. And it's not, the spotlight's on our industry right now, but I can tell you that I've experienced a lot more of this outside of craft beer than I have inside craft beer.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, I don't want to call it a domino or a trickle effect, but you're right. It was a big thing in the last couple of years, and TV and film for a while. It's hit corporations, manufacturing. It can hit any industry. Like you said, it's about the action behind it. So that was just kind of my feedback. But in addition to that, I had another question, which was around just the. People are always shocked first when they sometimes come on the podcast and that we, for Black men, are in Delaware. They think, what? Black people are in Delaware? For whatever reason, we give it a chuckle, we give it a laugh, right? My question to you is, how diverse is Left Hand Brewing and the environment that you're in? Do you find that you're around everyone who looks like you, talks like you? You were transplanted. You transplanted from San Diego to Colorado. What was that experience like from that perspective? Is it a diverse?
Diverse is long mind in the first place. Like it doesn't sound like
diverse.
This is.
You tell me what it looked like in here. But
Lou was like, it was us. Two Black people.
Look, Outworld's down the street.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what there are not a lot of things maybe I miss about California, but one of the things I definitely do miss is being around, I think, a lot bigger diversity pool. I miss speaking a little bit of conversational Spanish on the regular. I miss seeing people who don't look like me and identify the same way as me as often. And that's part of that's just straight up population. I mean, I came from a smaller town that you probably don't know, Mission Viejo in Orange County, and there's still like 400,000 people there.
Wow.
And I miss that a lot coming in here. There is definitely a feel that Longmont is very white. I've been doing some look into the census data actually lately to see, are we that white? About 23% of our population here in town, we're about 95,000, identify as Latinx or Hispanic. Okay. And we aren't seeing that as much in our brewery. And that's one of the things that the Open Hands Committee is really looking at. We aren't seeing, no, you never know, but there isn't a lot of diversity in terms of the things that people normally think of for diversity. And people of color being in our brewery is one of them. And so you look out and a lot of people look like me, identify how I do, or maybe come from the same kind of socioeconomic background that I do. And I think that's something that's endemic to craft beer all across. I mean, it was definitely worse in wine when I was in wine. There's certain industries that there's either a stigma or it's perceived or real that it's really only for one group of people.
Right.
And craft beer's always been so grassroots and on the ground and community oriented. And I think we've done that in thoughtful ways, but tended to do that from our own, from white culture and thinking that white culture is culture and white culture is American culture. And I think I spent a little time in New Zealand and I didn't see that as much there with people really understanding differences between maybe white culture and Kiwi culture and Maori culture. There was a better understanding that like, oh, I think this way because I'm this type of Kiwi, or I think this way because I'm Maori. There's a better understanding where here whites have just blanketed what culture looks like, should be, and how it is. And that's definitely happened in the craft beer industry. And I'm definitely a part of that and working to learn how not to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so we're trying to think about different ways that we can be inclusive. Is it playing different kind of music and not playing like jam bands, which is not my thing, but like jam bands all the time where I'm like, it's Lettuce and Grateful Dead and Shocker. It's all these same looking people in here that are at those concerts. Right. Or we're bringing kind of this type of cuisine to our brewery. And so we're not thinking about maybe how food is so culturally ingrained and maybe bringing some more Black owned or Latinx owned food trucks here. So that we're really showcasing other people in our community, inviting more people into our community, into our brewery. We look very like you would expect us to look. The look on Lou's face kind of says that. But we're actively looking at ways. We've had we've invited people from the LGBTQ community. We invited people from the Black community locally. We've invited people from the Latinx community locally and brought them to our open hands and said, what could we do to change that would make you feel welcome here? And so we're trying to take those steps and really want our brewery to reflect our city. You would not think that we were 25% Latinx here in Longmont if you walked into our restaurant. Why is that? And asking those questions, really being thoughtful about where we're posting job postings for that way as well. But job posting is only step one. Hiring somebody is only step one. What systems do you have in place to really nurture people from underrepresented groups and nurture them and help them grow? What role models are around here in our brewery that they can see people being successful in these roles to look up to and talk to and nurture their professional growth here? And so there's a lot that needs to happen. And there's a lot that needs to happen systemically, not only at our brewery, but every brewery to really address, I think, some of the lack of diversity that we see, some of the way that people of color, are only owning like 0.6% or 0.2% of breweries in the country. And that's just insanity to me. And how can we change things and in a way that's authentic, that's really speaking to the people that are already drinking our beer?
That's interesting because I was actually beer tending yesterday. Shout out to Bellefonte Brewing, but it was funny because I was behind the bar, and it was funny how music can change people's perception on the environment. Because it was some people of color came in, they were like, "Oh, this is a different vibe than I expected last time I came," because I was behind the bar and the music was. At that point in time was Biggie playing, so it was.
Do you as the beer tender, Rob, have control over the music?
Yeah. But
he'd be the only one there.
It's my music.
But I mean, it does change. It changes as the night goes on because I think it started off as because before I got there it was 90s alt or something like that. But then I think I changed it to like the popular music of 2000s and 10s. But then it went to hip hop and I think the station was hip hop barbecue. But when they came in, it was like, oh, this is a vibe. And like
the vibe.
Yeah. Right. And they were like, this is one of the people. They're like, oh, this is my first time here, and I'll be back. When do you work, Rob? So it's like, so it does
good.
It definitely does change the whole vibe. Music definitely has an impact. Places like that, definitely.
Right, you always want to sing your song in the background a little bit. You always,
especially because like with Bellefonte, they don't sell food, and so it's not like you sitting there eating and
kind of like having a drink as well as I get you.
You sitting there just drinking and like just talking it up with whoever you're there with, or if you came by yourself, like meeting new people. You want to have that type
it's a true brewery. You want a brewery experience to be your own.
And it's kind of funny because we were actually having this. We were having the same conversation with some of the staff that just came in to hang out with me about some of the sexual harassments and all that stuff. And I just can't believe, like, when I read some of these stories, I'd be like, I can't even fathom
saying that stuff to like what.
It's just be like mind blowing. I'd be like, this is crazy to me.
Like, then it's like, imagine if this was your wife coming home telling you this story. I'll be.
What if like she didn't tell you? Like, what if she didn't?
I'm just saying, like, what if she does tell you? Like,
it comes down to the woman, but there's a lot of things that I would not, and this is just me. But it comes down to the woman. There's a lot of things I wouldn't share with a significant other, with my father.
And that's what I was thinking. Like you talking tough Tony Yoda. Like if your wife says something, somebody touched my ass today, you try and go and see who touched her ass today. You know what I mean? Sir. So, and she don't want you to go to jail. So she not gonna tell you that somebody touched her ass today.
She doesn't want her.
She just gonna,
she doesn't want to make their bad behavior turn into a bad behavior. She doesn't want to their bad behavior to turn into a bad behavior for you, which could, be detrimental to
life.
Listen, competition is not bad.
And that's
that's
a lot of the way that women are really really culturally conditioned and raised.
Which is another reason
their behavior is going to impact a man's behavior. And women have just been raised to think that way. If then it's my fault. My guy went and did this. Or I dress this way, so it's my fault this happened. I'm in this industry, so it's my fault that this is happening. There's been a lot of that. Women are just raised that way.
Victim blaming,
victim blaming. There's a lot of that going on, and so it's a real thing. And some of these things are egregious, and I've only had maybe a couple egregious things happen to me in 18 or 19 years. Still, a couple's too many, but the microaggressions happen every day, or little sexual harassment happens every day.
I've only been sexually harassed one time in my life.
You liked it.
I didn't. It didn't. It was not uncomfortable at all.
It's really uncomfortable when you know that more often than not, if push came to shove, you couldn't handle yourself.
Right. That's a whole different layer. So I did want you spoke about just the training and awareness that you guys put around diversity, inclusion, and even so I did some research for something completely different than today, but I was reading that the Brewers Association had recently elected, her name is J. Nicole Jackson Beckman. She's a PhD in equity and inclusion. She's their partner. And she now leads the training and workshops around this topic in the, just in the beer industry specifically. Any training or workshops that Left Hand is, embarking on for 2021 or in the future that will be led by and or following some of the kind of the leadership of Dr. J?
Yeah, Dr. J is incredibly inspiring. She has a lot of incredible resources and trainings that are available that she either has put up on the BA or on Craft Beer for All that she runs as well. Okay. I'm actually on a subcommittee with her at the BA. Awesome. She runs the diversity, the DEI committee, and then there's some subcommittees, education. I'm on the marketing and communication subcommittee for DEI. And I've gotten to meet her just a little bit over the last few months, an incredibly inspiring woman, and has already put out some other stuff and know she's raring for more.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's one of the things that we've been really looking at Open Hands. Like I said, the last 4 or 5 months, we've been really thinking about it. I've been meeting a lot with our HR team about what's the right way to go about this. And making sure we're doing it in a really thoughtful way. Like how, for example, when we're talking about gender-based harassment or gender-based treatment, how is the patriarchy hurtful for all? I think sometimes even I for sure can get in this phrase of like, well, you need to stand up as a man. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop this behavior. When something happens, you should be saying something, and realizing how detrimental this type of culture is for everybody. That it's hard to be that guy. Sometimes it's like, oh, you can't make that joke because there's a woman present, or oh, you shouldn't be making that joke, period. I think most people just kind of laugh along and go along with it. And I think it's hard to stop those types of things. And we've seen that. I've experienced that in my life with certain off-color or racial jokes where I just kind of, I wish I would have interjected and said something, but the cultural or societal pressure at that moment doesn't make me want to do that.
Yeah.
And so we've been thinking a lot about that thoughtfully. I'm meeting again with HR next week to talk about some of the training programs that are going to go in place or potentially are going to go in place, and what things that we can do and be thoughtful, be doing it in a way that's really true to our brewery, true to our core values, and that's not a Band-Aid on a problem, but it's really trying to look at this problem long term and how we can be leaders in the industry. So I'm hoping to see some things soon, but it has only been a couple of weeks. And a lot of us, like I mentioned, I think before this we got on, a a lot of us women are really trying to process really just what happened. A lot of these things have been kind of triggering and emotional, and it's taking a second to kind of think where we're at.
That's important. And I guess I had another question, because I know you said in terms of, even I guess about the subject, and then I guess we can lighten up the mood. I don't know.
Yeah. That was as heavy as we needed to get, you know. Drink. I want to get another beer. But ask your question, Rob.
Well, it was more about some of the things, like you were saying, that it should be more than statements. It should be activations. Like, so what are the things that you will want to see, like some of the breweries actually do to activate, to try to resolve some, to I guess to eradicate some of these situations? Like what are some of the, like, I mean, you can just speak for yourself or just in general, like what are some of the things that you think that should be put in place?
Yeah, if you let me, I'll just speak for myself and not necessarily for Left Hand, but I definitely like to see some really training management for diversity in so many different ways. What's it like to have different opinions on your team? How valuable it is to have different people on your team? And we've had some training on how different generations might approach a topic, but how might different genders approach a topic? So where you can have more, maybe women might work different in a group, might be a little bit more apologetic when they're offering their ideas, and maybe I think, or I want to, or I wonder if, or what do you think if, or a guy might be like, we should do this. This should happen. This is the way to go. And there might just be some different types of gender cultural training that's been happening that makes one sound authoritative and right, and one sounds a little bit wishy-washy and like, should we do this? Yeah. And some training around how different genders may choose to use different types of verbiage and tend to use different types of ways to get their point across, tend not to ask as much, tend not to reach out as much, but expected to be asked their opinion and not offer their opinion. And so some training on that, and training on how women lead, how to treat women that are strong and opinionated, and the words to use around that. I think you hear hard to work with, or that kind of woman, or feminist, or which cultivates all types of imagery in your mind when you think of a feminist. And kind of working against some of those stereotypes that are not necessarily true. And then, and how to nurture women in their environment and grow them to be successful. I'd like to see breweries, I'd like to see managers, because that's where a lot of this happens. Managers say, this is how I made somebody feel included today. This is how I made somebody feel like their opinion mattered today. This is how I reached out and offered for this, thought about giving this person the opportunity to succeed in this company, and really focus that on underrepresented groups in our society. So I think it's bigger than just women, but since women make up a bigger portion of this brewery than people of color make of this brewery, I think that's where a lot of our thought process should be going right now.
Right. And like any, I guess, like most industries, they kind of reflect society, because it's not even just the people that are who run and own the breweries. It's like the same question when you say, one of the patrons come up and say, let me speak to the guy, because I don't think you know about beer. So it's not just, absolutely, it's the consumer as well. So we all in general have to be part of the change and the progress that we want to see. And that goes vice versa, and that's pretty much in every industry. But I mean, and not to talk bad about the industry, because at the end of the day, we did learn that a sommelier chose beer over wine.
You're darn right.
Which is a great segue, Rob, because I wanted to talk about that. You've been humble bragging all day. You were a sommelier before you even tasted your first beer. Yeah, for real, for real. Like, how long? That was fresh out of college. You did that. How long is that? Like, what?
I've worked as a sommelier. I only got my first level, so I'm not technically a certified sommelier, but I worked.
Rob got his first level. He talks shit all the time. Like, that's good. That's good. You have every right to talk all this shit.
It started off actually kind of the same thing. Almost a good segue from what we're talking about. I had just. I was in college, and I'd left my high school. I worked at this little 50s style, 40s style diner with a little candy striper dress and all the things. And I worked serving burgers or whatever. And I just got into college and I thought, hey, I could probably make a little bit more money in a little nicer establishment. So I got a job at this place in San Clemente. I go up to a table. I've been working there for maybe a couple months. I go up to a table and they ask me, like, what kind of single malts do you have? And I don't know squat. Nobody's trained me. None of, like, my whole management team, I'll just say, my whole management team was male. They never cared about my education at this point. They just put me on the floor and I'm doing my thing. I was significantly blonder and thinner and in more shape then. So they're just like, you're hired. So I'm out there doing my thing. And this guy asked me single malts. And the only thing I know is on my order screen, when I go to punch in what type of bourbon or whiskey or whatever, it says at the top, like, single malt, bourbon, whiskey. And I'm like, I'm trying to think what's on that screen. So I'm like, single malt. I'm like, Jack Daniels, Knob Creek, Maker's Mark. And I'm saying this, and the guy looks at me and he goes, can you bring somebody to the table that knows what they're talking about? And I mean, I felt crushed. It was one of the first times in my life I felt genuinely dumb. Plenty more to come in my 20s, but felt genuinely dumb. And I stopped by a bookstore on my way home. I got Liquor for Dummies, Wine for Dummies, and Beer for Dummies. And I sat down and read them all. I have the Beer for Dummies book. And so I sat down and read them all, and I fell in love with wine culture. And I started reading anything and everything with wine. I started reading anything and everything I could, started tasting it a lot. It is a very expensive hobby. It is a very expensive thing to just try and learn about. To try and taste 6 different Chardonnays next to them so that you can taste which one is coming from California, which one's coming from Oregon, which one's coming from France, which one's from Australia. It's a stupid amount of money. But you drink every bit of it and it's fun. And you're in your 20s, so you can drink 2 bottles and go to work and go to yoga and go to school. And it's like no big deal. Right. And so I fell in love with wine culture. And so I did that for almost 15 years. And then I moved to New Zealand to finish my degree and drank a lot of wine out there and some of the great things that they do and Sauvignon Blancs and Chards and Pinots and stuck with it for a long time. Nice. I still love wine.
I bet.
Yeah. She just done it all.
Here's the drink people.
Right. She been in New Zealand. She lived in New Zealand.
Right. Just to wrap school up. We're going to wrap school up in New Zealand, guys. I love it, Kristina.
My mom says I have a little bit of a gypsy virus. I lived in Hawaii or Maui for a little while, part of this like diner job that I worked. And so I went out there and tried to experience a little culture there. I was too afraid. I should have gone to a Spanish-speaking country and really been able to fluently speak Spanish. I really wish I would have had the guts to do that, but I wanted to be somewhere that was outside of the States, experience another culture for a while and kind of use that as a way to get the spotlight shown on me that what's just ingrained in me because of how I was raised or where I was raised. And so 2 years in New Zealand helped, but just kind of showed me a little bit of that, and it was great. Cool. Plus, I'm a big Lord of the Rings nerd, and so it was awesome.
She said like a passport.
So you're saying you're saying the mister is holding you back from doing your gypsy thing. No, I'm just joking.
I've been stuck in Denver for 6 years now. I got to get out of here.
Right.
No, he'd never been out of the country before, and so we got married out of the country. We've traveled to quite a few places now. So I kind of told him, like, this is my lifestyle. I'm moving to Colorado. So if you want to date me, this is happening.
You basically got him out of his parents' like guest house or garage or room out of
basement.
Somebody's garage or something.
He's in the basement.
You would still be there.
He's the best with his family. I have the best in-laws in the world. But yes, we can just say he was very close with his family and maybe still being supported. Quite a bit into his 30s. No shame in that.
Some people,
Kristina,
that's a humble brag, but I used to get a lot of like weird side-eye looks when I would say like I was still getting allowance in my 20s. People would be like, "Yo, what?"
Yeah,
I still got an account. I still got an account linked to that account. I got that account. Hit that transfer button.
Please, Mom. Come on, Dad.
Big girl be like, so we're going out. Hold on, let me see if my allowance is there.
Let me see if
it's my anniversary. It's my anniversary. Let me see if I got my allowance.
We're taking a helicopter to St. Lucia. Come on.
That allowance in there, they can take it.
Oh my goodness.
I have a question for you, Christina. We've had a lot of guests on the show, and a lot of them have been travelers. Every once in a while, when we hear how much you travel, we like to see how many times you got your passport stamped. Do you have a 1-book passport or a 2-book passport?
I have a 1-book passport. I just got a new one. So now my husband gets to flaunt that he has more stamps in his than mine.
Oh.
It really hurts me to the
So you're working on your 2-book? You're working on your 2-book, or you just got renewed?
I got renewed.
Oh, okay.
I got
renewed. How many countries have you traveled to?
25, I think.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah,
that's really nice.
What's that like? Second? That's like second or third, right?
Wrong.
That's like second or third on the list. Jeez,
oh, you got to be a gypsy in your 20s. You got to be a gypsy in your 20s.
You got to start early.
$50 a week aside. $50 a week aside. That is it, and you can travel anywhere you want, at least once a year.
Mm-hmm. There you go. $50 a week. $50 a week, guys.
You blow that. You blow that. Yeah,
that's easy.
Jump.
Yeah.
It depends where you go. So, like in Japan, everything was freaking expensive. In Russia, when we were in Moscow, everything was freaking expensive. But we went to Belize. We've been to Vietnam, and we got beers for 10 cents, banh mi for 90 cents. And you can stretch $1.
Yeah, I just ate for $1. Mm-hmm. A beer and some banh mi. I'm good.
Beer and banh mi for $1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I can go somewhere like that.
Yeah. My husband's half Vietnamese, and so we got to Vietnam for the first time. It was great.
And now, we opened up this whole global thing. Now I got a whole bunch of more questions. But before I go into global questions, I wanted to ask, what's your favorite style of beer and why? And which you may have already said, because I think you really lit up talking about saisons. But anyway, favorite style of beer, craft beer, and also favorite style of wine or type of wine.
Oh, these are great questions. Beer, I'm an equal opportunity alcoholic.
Okay.
So if it's good, but it's trying to be, I'm probably going to like it. I would say I gravitate, a lot of people in the industry, this is very true. I gravitate a lot towards Pilsners when I'm out because I want something easy drinking, light. Yeah. I don't have to think about it too much because I think about beer so much during my work life. Gotcha. And so a nice crisp, I like Czech styles. I like things with a little bit of citrus and a little floral to the hop as well. And something that I can get a little bite, but it's really crisp, really nice carb, and easy ABV.
Okay.
That's what I tend to drink on the regular. But one of my favorite styles of beer is a Berliner Weiss, which is a German style beer. It's a little tartness. There's some body to it, a little bit of extra carbonation as well. And sometimes there can be a little bit of funk, which I like. I like that little bit of funky vibe in there and some weird things that can happen. Just like a Brett or Brett Anamyces is the type of yeast that can affect the beer. And so like a Brett beer would be one of my favorites.
Okay.
Oddly, even though a Saison got me into it, a Saison Brett, the Saison got me into it. I'm not a big fan of bubblegum flavor and banana. And so a lot of Belgian beers are usually not my jam. But those few and far between a beer I don't like if it's good for its style.
Got it.
Awesome.
And what about the wine? Oh man, depends on the day. I would say for a white wine, I really like a lot of Northern Italian wines, like an Arnaise has a little bit of nuttiness to it. And Gewürztraminer can have some nice stone fruit and honeydew and melon, and I really love that as well. Those are a couple of my favorites. Or Viognier is a little bit more floral, so that might be my jam. And red wine's a good Pinot, good French Pinot is probably my favorite.
I just talked to you when I got a bottle of wine. That was educational.
The thing about finding wine, never pay more than your palate can taste for. If you don't drink wine on the regular, you are not going to tell the difference between a $20 bottle of wine and a $200 bottle of wine. You're not. So don't do it. It's a waste.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a waste. But if you can teach yourself, same thing with beer. If you every time you take a sip of beer, why do I like this? Ooh, I like this because there's mocha. Ooh, I like this because it's more carved. I like this because it's less carved. Ooh, I like this IPA because it's floral. Oh, I like this IPA because there's tangerine. Oh, I like this IPA because there's pine. The more you can describe what you like, then you go into a brewery and you're like, hey, between your IPAs, which one has more pine? between your porters, which one's like sweeter and fruitier and which one's a little bit more coffee and darker and bitter. And you can start asking those questions. Then you're going to start buying beer you like more, trying beer you like more, and enjoying it more. And same thing with wine. It's learning the things to ask for. Yeah.
Well, it's now that as you were describing that, Kristina, like I immediately looked or thought of Lou, and Lou in particular in his love for like sours, because, you know, he is, I would say, at least openly or publicly, he's like the candy guy. Like he likes candy, he likes sweets, he likes those kinds of like flavors. And he always says in terms of like his palate, he drank a lot of Kool-Aid coming up. Like he wanted the flavor of a sweet tea and Kool-Aid. So his love for beer just naturally gravitates him to the sours. And I don't know if I've thought of it that particular way and just until now and associated with. So I want to start to, kind of make that more applicable or apply that when I'm drinking the beer.
It's a weird thing to do. And this is maybe a pre-COVID thing, but I used to do this when I was a sommelier because you'd have to think like, you can't just say this tastes like apple. Just this tastes like Brayburn apple or Honeycrisp apple or Granny Smith apple or something
right, because
like
there is a big difference when you taste.
Huge difference. Red Delicious. And so like smelling the fruit. I mean, I don't necessarily recommend this right now, but this is something that I would do. Again, you just forget about your 20s. I like smell different types of fruit and be like, oh, I can really taste the difference. You sit down in front of a dish. What spices are in this? Train yourself to think like, I can pick up. People tell me all the time, like, oh, I just like it. I can't really tell you why. It's because you never tried. You sat down every time you had a beer and gave yourself 10 seconds to think, why do I like this? And then forget it, just drink.
Yeah.
If you tried to like use your mind that way, that retro nasal in the back to see what you smell.
Yeah, it'll come back. It'll come back next week.
Much better taster and really know what you like.
Hey Rob, didn't they teach us? Weren't they teaching us that at the Vintage Cigar Lounge when we were talking about it? They had like a retro inhale, it was like
the retro pull or retro nasal
nasal pull or something to get those different flavors of a cold draw or cold.
Well, just the cigar in general, like
the cigar in general is like okay. Yeah,
because you taste all back here.
Yeah,
you don't taste on your tongue.
Right.
Your tongue tells you something sweet or salty or fatty or umami or sour, but the flavors all are happening in your nose and your retronasal cavity back here.
Well, I almost died
like
when I did that retronasal pull on that cigar. I almost died.
I've never done it with like smoke. I never done inhale right a cigar smoke. I've never done it with that, but good grief. Right. Yeah, that seems like a recipe for disaster.
Oh, it was for me. It was for me.
A recipe for disaster.
I had to go outside. I was so glad it was raining and it was like fresh air. I had to go outside.
You feel that beautiful cedar, a little bit of leather.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm getting a call.
I feel my lungs burning.
Now, I guess I have one last question, and this is just because just in communications, and this might be just the process. I don't know. It's probably a process different from our brewery, but in terms of Left Hand, like where does the name come from? Is that a brewer? Is it the brewer comes up with it, and then y'all have to work with it, or is it like a whole team, like a collaboration? Like, what do y'all think about this?
Oh, the name for the beer?
Yeah.
All right. I want to challenge each of you after this to think of a name for a beer. Go on Untapped. Be like, all right, if I was going to name a Pilsner, this is what I was going to name it. Go on Untapped. Look up that name. Taken. I challenge anything you think of right now. Taken. So we typically, I help facilitate the process, but it is a brewery-wide thing that happens here. Anybody and everybody. We have an email that any day of the week, twice on Sunday, you can email this, like, I just thought of a beer name. And I put it all into it. We put it all into a spreadsheet. Then we'll kind of do stuff like, these are conceptually what we're thinking about the beers, and throw out like surveys or brainstorms. We've done virtual brainstorms, in-the-house brainstorms. We come up with maybe 200 names. 198 of them are taken. We have 2 names that are probably our least favorite left over, and we go back and start again.
Dang!
It can take a couple months to come up with your name. Yeah. I mean, there's 8,000 breweries out there right now. And if every brewery's making 10 or 15 beers a year, and some of them have been making beers for 30 years. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of beer names, literally hundreds of thousands.
I bet you nobody got a Bruce and Banner Pilsner, so you can go ahead and
get it started, Christina. Write that down. Put that on the
Pilsner. All right, I just got you okay.
You can put any P, Porter, all the P's.
Yeah, that's funny. Or you could also start speaking. You can start speaking Klingon as well. Just start putting the Oxplakat.
Klingon beers there are, but I'm sure there's a Klingon Pilsner or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. So you got to use the dialect.
It's at least one language Klingon beer in that catalog. I'm sure.
They're 100%.
At least one. Yeah. If it's hundreds of thousands of names.
Maybe Outworld even has one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a question for you, Christina. You said that when you tasted the Saison, you got hooked, and you tried 95 breweries within the year, and you developed a rating system. Devin usually explains our rating system. What is your rating system?
I think it's evolved over time, because at the beginning I didn't know what the flip I was talking about. It was kind of, I like it, I don't like it, or and now I've gone through a lot of sensory training, so I can actually taste flaws in beer, which it's not recommended unless you have to regularly taste flaw in beer, because it makes it hard to go to other breweries sometimes.
You're so judgmental. You're so judgmental.
I know, it's really rough. Keep the joy in beer. You don't need to do all that, no matter what they tell you. So keep the joy. Enjoy the good stuff that's served to you by fine people. But yeah, I'll taste through. I totally lost my train of thought. My rating system. So it's kind of evolved over the course of time. But right now, it's sort of A, B, C, D, or E kind of thing.
Great.
And pretty much everywhere I go, I think we're a lot of great beer here in Colorado. It's always like a B beer or C beer almost all of the time, which is it takes a little bit of work to get there.
Okay.
But a lot of times I'm commenting on this experience and the vibe and how the people make you feel. There's kind of that vacation syndrome that I've always talked about, like, oh my God, this tasted so good because you were on vacation. Well, it's because you were in a good mood and you were on a beach and you were in a hammock and you were with the people you love.
Right.
And I think people can do that with beer in their tasting room environments and really make you feel warm and welcome and great. And I've had some beers that I've been like, not so great, but had such a fantastic experience in the tasting room that I want to go back again and again and again. And I've had fantastic beer and zero hospitality type service and not wanting to go back to that brewery again. And so I think it really is a combination of the two, and that's how I rate, how I feel and how the beer is.
So it's more of a brewery rating than an actual beer rating.
Yeah, I'll give a straight rating for the beer, but then I'll write some comments about how I really felt in my little sheet. How I really felt about the brewery. Yeah,
that's interesting, because I think you're the second or third person that had a spreadsheet.
At least a
spreadsheet. So I must be either doing something wrong, or maybe that's why Untapped was invented, because that person was probably had a spreadsheet. So you know what? I got to do this digitally.
I gotta let everybody know about how I feel.
I don't think but it's definitely the second. At least two people have said.
It's a shame, because every time I hear somebody mention they got a spreadsheet or something, I'll be like, you got way too much time on your hands. You got a spreadsheet.
I'm thinking the opposite. When you said that, I'll be thinking like, wow, they got way too much time on their hands. That's great. They can make these spreadsheets. I'll be thinking it's such a great thing. Like, I wish I. Or they care. They just care.
Serious about the craft, right?
They care.
But it ain't even got nothing to do with just.
Do you go back? Do you go back on your notes? Like, do you go back on the spreadsheet and like, oh, back in April on April the 18th, I drank this beer in 2019.
Lou, there's tabs.
The month is already set.
Not as often as I should. We probably look through it, like just comb through the thing. My husband and I, we probably comb through it a couple times a year, but not as often as I should.
Okay.
I don't have a spreadsheet, but what I do is that I always, like, when I buy a beer, I always take a picture of it, because I'll be like, I want to remember if I didn't like this or if I like.
So you have a virtual spreadsheet. That's a spreadsheet. You did it.
Take a picture of it. Like,
you gonna start putting notes underneath it. You want to favorite it. You want to like that one. Like,
nah, that's what I do. Like, if I liked it, then I'll put a little like button on my phone that you can put on the picture.
Oh yeah, you definitely have a spreadsheet. You definitely
somebody got a lot of time in their hands.
I know. Got a whole bunch of time.
Take like 2 seconds.
Well, maybe if you don't remember it at all, that's a good thing. It's a six-pack.
well, Kristina, at the top of the show, you may have remember hearing me say that all of Left Hand Brewing's beers that we tasted or sampled today, we were 4 for 4. So our rating system, to Lou's point, I usually explain, we have a simple rating system that we think fits our narrative for the podcast. We think of, making a brew is a form of art, but it's a conversational piece. So Pass Me Another is our highest rating. That is something that we would want another, we would recommend. I'll have just one would be our mediocre beer. Obviously it's general, but keep it in the cooler is something that if you went to a barbecue or you went somewhere and you had it, you can keep that and never pull that out again, So I think your Left Hand family and your team will be pleased to hear that all the beers that we sampled today on the podcast, and not just because you're here, all got the highest rating.
Right. I don't think we ever kept it in the cooler for a guest, but we have had just one for a guest. A few times.
Right. I tried it.
I won't try that again.
Right.
I need to find out how I can get my hands on that good juju though, because I haven't seen it.
It genuinely, this can doesn't have anything in it.
Okay.
I just didn't put a lid on it. We can it on Thursday, the 27th. And it'll start going out across the country in June. So,
okay, so close enough.
If you can't get your hands on it, you know where to find me. I might be able to get some out to y'all.
Chris. Yeah. People call you Chris, they didn't really know you well, or they just call you Tina. Which one? Kristina? Chris?
I've been called XT. I've been called Chris. I've been called Christina. I grew up being called Chrissy, but most people call me Kristina. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kristina. If you've known me since before I was 18, you call me Chrissy.
Okay, all right. That's really close.
Mm-hmm.
She said,
as long as you get kind of close, I'll probably respond.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna keep it formal.
She said to you, for you just call me.
Come up with something. I'm good.
Yeah. You are now an honorary Brew Crew member by being a member of the show or being a guest on the show. So horns, please, claps, something, right?
And it is official. It is official. She said when she has the festival where we can dress up, that we're going to be guests.
We're going to be guests. Yes, we'll get our itineraries ready.
Absolutely,
and we will.
6 months. I need 6 months notice. I need 6 months notice.
We will
talk about all about this. You will know about this.
That's what we like to hear.
I love that nitro. I need to be there for sure.
Yes, that nitro. Oh my god!
Yeah,
this is gonna be bananas.
Yeah,
and a festival.
You don't even have to dress up. You don't even got to dress up. You just like, I'm sorry, I didn't have a costume, but I'm here for the beer.
Yes. I'm dressed up as a guy who loves beer.
Right. I'm a regular guy who loves
75% of people dress up. So if you don't dress up, most people are kind of in slacks or something nice. It's a beer festival. It's totally different experience. We have like acrobats and fire shows.
Cirque du Soleil and beer.
Cirque du Soleil in Colorado.
I'll send you guys some pictures after this. It's really mind-blowing. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
That's awesome. 75%. That's a lot of people.
You're dressed up, right? Right. You are the oddball when you wear the slacks.
75%. People like look at him with no costume.
I have one more question. One more question. Happy anniversary, Devin. But one more question.
Thank you, because I gotta go. It's like no.
When I was in Denver, it is literally like liquor stores and churches for breweries. Like it's breweries everywhere. Like it's a rundown sidewalk. It's all vacant, and there's a brewery in the middle, and there's no other buildings. It's breweries everywhere. How do you guys compete? Like I heard Asheville, North Carolina has a lot of breweries like per capita like this, but like you guys have been around, you guys are one of the first breweries in the area. How do you guys even, because I know you guys are nationwide now.
We're in the middle of nowhere, so we're not
people come out there, but people come out there, baby. And look, and people People renting them cars. Because it ain't no Uber ride. That's not an Uber ride. Ain't nobody saying give me a lift.
I need the upgraded navigation package with my rental.
Yeah, because I'm going to Longmont.
Get the Longmont.
Oh, you're going to Longmont? Hold on.
Yeah, they don't. You tell them you're going to Longmont, they already upgrade you. It's free.
You're gonna need air conditioned, all terrain, all wheel drive. It's like no.
heated seats, massage seats.
We want to keep you comfortable.
Awesome. Part of it has to do with our history. We're one of the oldest breweries in Colorado, one of the oldest craft breweries in Colorado. And I think business brings business. You came out here probably on vacation. Yeah. And more people that are out, more great breweries around us make us better, make our fans better, bring more beer tourism. And I think also it brings a lot of brewers talking to each other and experimenting and trying other breweries' beers and always thinking about the next thing that's there. And so I think having a lot of really good, healthy, great competition in the area only makes you better. Now it does present challenges with getting yourself some shelf space from time to time, and we're facing that as an industry. Everybody is right now. But for the most part, I love having a lot of great breweries in our backyard and places I can go to and have a fantastic beer and really enjoy being in Colorado.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Is that all the questions you have for Kristina?
I do. No other. That's it. That's what I meant by I did. I'm done.
I got you. Once you sat back, I figured that you don't have any more.
And see.
All right. Well, I want to thanks again, Kristina Shostak, for coming to the podcast.
Yes.
My pleasure. This has been the fastest hour and 47 minutes of ever.
Easy, right?
Easy. Yeah.
You didn't know what to expect. You didn't know what to expect, did you, Kristina?
I really didn't, but I was prepared.
Awesome.
Well, that means just that we're doing our job if it's the easiest hour and 45 minutes.
Right, yeah. It was a breeze. That was a breeze.
Awesome.
You was comfortable. Appreciate you. You was nice too.
Before we go, we always like to know how people can find you or Left Hand on social media. I mean, you're the communication manager, so how can people find all about Left Hand and everything, even the foundation as well?
Yeah, so just lefthandbrewing.com. You're going to get kind of our most recent news and info on all of our beers. And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Left Hand Brewing instead of brewery, Left Hand Brewing. And lhbfoundation.org, Left Hand Brewing Foundation. So lhbfoundation.org talks about our nonprofit work. And like I said, we're just kind of getting that back going after COVID. And this is something we didn't get to talk about, but teamlefthand.com. If you are interested in multiple sclerosis and what we're doing for that, we've raised over $5 million to fight MS. And we ride in over 8 rides with 10 teams across the country, raising lots of money to help crush MS and fight with the people that fight that disease every day.
Awesome.
That's great.
Left Hand is out there doing just
casting the wide net, the wide net.
Yeah, forefront of charity and great beer.
Not just making statements, but actually putting action into action.
We pedal the miles. Write the check is one thing, but pedal the miles and out there and doing the thing.
We are the ones to make a brighter day, so let's start giving.
What the hell?
There's a lot of breweries out there. One of the things I love about craft beer. So many community-oriented organizations out there.
Absolutely. All right, sure. Dev, how can they find you, Dev?
Sing us out. We can find me singing.
You found me by seeing my face on the podcast today, and you see my name, Dev Drinks Craft Brew, on Instagram. Easy enough.
He's working out a new outro. Here it comes.
That was all off the top of the dome.
I like it.
I am a writer.
I like it, man. I like it.
All right, Lou, how can they find you?
Oh, man, it's the same as it's always been, man. I'm Lou Belgium. I'm on them Instagrams.
All right, yo.
No, you can just find me at 302 Yoda. COVID free.
All right. And you can find Bruising Banter Podcasts on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also follow us on you can also listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can even say, Alexa, play Google. Oh, I can't do that no more. Alexa, play Bruising Banter Podcast because we are on Amazon Music. I don't know why that messed me up there. I mean,
you be saying it all fast.
Yeah, he's like Casey on here.
I would try to get it all in. You can also say Pandora. You can check us out on Pandora, iHeart, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Like I said, if you want to follow, and you can also go to www.bruisingbanter. It has all the links that you need. Plus, you can go in there and find merchandise as well if you want to support the podcast with the merch. And always, as always, rate, review, subscribe, and all that good stuff. If you want to follow me, Rob G, Rob Stay Bruising, right there.
There it is. There it is.
All right. This has been episode 120 of Bruising Brandon Podcast. Until next time.
Have a good week, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
You're welcome.
Oh, AJR. I see my play right there, Rob.
Get it. Get it.
Oh, Sixer. Mine's got 30 points already.
Empty, guys. Empty.